We want to thank you all again for joining us tonight for this really important briefing. I wanted to share that New York City Community Land Initiative and Public Bank NYC are made up again of broad-based, a wide range of groups, from community and labor groups to housing organizations and homelessness advocates, worker cooperatives, and many others that you're going to hear from directly in just a few minutes. We know that we're living through extremely challenging and unprecedented times, and that New York City is facing multiple and overlapping crises. New York City last year lost more than 600,000 jobs, and storefronts are shuttered throughout the city. More than almost half of all small businesses have remained closed since the pandemic began. New York City also faces new fronts in its housing crisis, including an expiring moratorium on evictions, so many more New Yorkers being severely rent burdened, and upwards of 80,000 New Yorkers homeless. In the wake of the COVID-19 crisis, we can expect a new wave of real estate speculation that will add to the ongoing displacement and destabilization of Black, Brown, and immigrant communities throughout the city if we don't take bold action. As we look to a post-COVID future, the urgency and opportunity for our city to fundamentally restructure its economy has never been greater. There is growing consensus that deep structural change is needed if we are serious about uprooting entrenched inequality in our city, and that policymaking must be laser focused on racial equity, community wealth building, and control. And we are seeing bold movement here in New York, thanks to tremendous organizing and vision by groups all around the state. This includes recent actions in Albany to tax the rich, to create an excluded workers fund, and to legalize cannabis with an explicit social and racial equity framework. So we're here tonight to urge New York City's next government, again, many of you watching, to seize this moment and this momentum to boldly and concretely address root causes of inequality in our city, and to center solutions like public banking and community land trusts developed by communities to achieve true safety and self-determination. We're going to jump right in and we'll revisit the poll results at the end. All right, so let's begin with community land trusts, our first spotlight. A few short years ago, there were only a couple of community land trusts in New York City, most notably Cooper Square Community Land Trust in Manhattan's Lower East Side, that you are going to hear from directly in just a moment. Today, as you can see on a map that will appear, there are more than 15 neighborhood-based community land trust efforts and a citywide CLT. These CLTs are organizing throughout the city, as you can see, in all 5 boroughs, led often by community-based organizations, and they're organizing in Black, Brown, and immigrant neighborhoods for community control over land and housing. You'll hear from CLT organizers about their work, and as you hear them, as you'll hear, CLTs are being organized to create and preserve permanently affordable and deeply affordable housing, as well as retail and commercial space, community gardens, green infrastructure, and a host of other community needs. The way CLTs do this is by removing land and housing from the private speculative market and putting it in the hands of community-controlled nonprofits, the CLTs. Rooted in civil rights struggles, the CLT model is proven not only to make sure that housing is preserved permanently for permanently affordable housing, but also it's proven to combat speculation and displacement and to protect public investment in affordable housing over generations. In this way, CLTs are preserving critical public funds that are otherwise extracted over short amounts of time. As more CLTs launch throughout the city, we're calling for bold policy making and funding that will ensure that community land trusts, neighborhood-led CLTs, have the chance to grow and bring more land, housing, and other neighborhood assets into permanent community control.